I'm Alan Duke, Volga, South Dakota. This is a 1956 Super 88 LP. Supposedly there was 10 or 20 built for Oliver dealer in Oklahoma. He had to buy all of them, and he sold them to his customers. And as far as I know right now, there is only 6 known serial numbers to exist at this time. Thank you.
This is a 1959 OC9. I also have a OC96, a matching set. It's the most advanced tractor for its time. It was made between 58 and 64, and they only made 400 of them. And this is an all-hydraulic torque converter drive, so I can counter steer, which if you'd like me to, I'll demonstrate. And I picked it up in Salem, Oregon in the middle of a field. It hadn't been running 20 years, and I trucked it home and put a battery in it, and it started, but I rebuilt everything. And it's got all new hoses. There's 14 hydraulic hoses. But the undercarriage and everything was mint. That's why I got the tractor. The engine's not a problem for me, and the transmission is perfect. I'm from, my name's Luke Rizzuto. I'm from Santa Cruz, California. I have a fruit ranch in the mountains there, and I use nothing but flea tracks to disc with because they're the only thing that'll turn in the middle of a hill. So I drove 4 days to get here, and I'm real happy to be here. And
Dylan Cropper from Coon Rapids, Minnesota. We do, normally we go to the Almalin Threshing Show, but we came here because they were featuring the Hart-Parr, and you know, I've never seen so many Hart-Parrs in one spot, and wanted to come through and do everything about the show. And first time here, man, this show was awesome. If you haven't been here, I'd come out here. The tractor itself is a 1928, 1836 Hart-Parr. My grandpa owned it since 1963. Me and my mother inherited it after he passed away, and after that, I've been running it the last 3 years now, and it's came out of Butterfield, Minnesota, down south, along with another big tractor that they bought at the time, and 20 years. It's on the restoration for 20 years now. Hopefully next year when it's here, it'll be all fresh, brand new, nice new paint job. I'm gonna put the spikes back on it because it's nice and muddy here. So it's gonna be a fun time. Great show.
Hi, my name is Sarah. I'm from Fargo, North Dakota. This is a 1836 Hart-Parr. It was built in 1928 and it has a PTO. My dad has a building full of tractors.
Okay. Well, my name is Dean Hansen and I'm from Ada, Minnesota. And my dad's old tractor. And he bought it new. And a lot of history. A lot of family history. So every time I talk about it, I get a little emotional. Sorry, but anyway, like I said, it was used in the 50s and 60s, and Dad had it for drill and pretty much everything from a drill to a two-bottom plow, and in the wintertime, hauling manure, and you know, for dairy and hog farm. And then when the 70s rolled around, then the next generation got it, and my generation, and then it didn't have to pull the drill anymore, and by the end of the 70s, it didn't have to pull the planter anymore, and then my little next oldest brother overhauled the motor in high school, and then that was on the augers and stuff like that, and just little stuff, and well, in 2006, my nephew redid it. He repainted it and sandblasted and everything, and then 2019, with all the snow. We had a shed come down, a rafter come down right here. And we thought we had to get a different hood, but we got to give a shout out to Randy Paulum in Borat, Minnesota for fixing it. I don't know how he did it, but he did it. And then, like I said, we just got this done about 2 weeks ago, and like you said, it's on its third generation, and it's going to be many more. So, but it means a lot to us.
I'm Gerald Sather from Detroit Lakes, Minnesota. I've been in ROLLAG just about every year for the last 25 years. This actually is my first year of bringing a vehicle here, bringing a tractor. So I had this 1949 to 77, and I decided to bring it here. And some of the guys were at I belong to the Antique Tractor Club in Park Rapids, Minnesota. And Troy and some of the guys that are working the show here talked a bunch of us into coming to ROLLAG with our Olivers this year. So that's kind of how I got hooked up at ROLLAG this year. I do have Olivers, and I have an 880 and I have another 77, and I am an antique tractor puller. So my 77 is a diesel, and I'm usually out pulling on the weekends. So it's kind of nice to be here in ROLLAG this year.
My name is Bill Bechtold from Lodi, California. I brought here to the ROLLAG show the BGS cleat track and the little 15 cleat track, 1931 model and 1945 model. And it was quite a trip, but we had a good trip, and this has been an excellent show. The history behind some of these tractors is the little brown one here, the 15 model, was actually farmed. It was used on a farm within about a half mile of where I live. And my dad traded it in for a later model tractor and sold it many years ago, and then he was sorry he did it. It came back. And when it came back, he tore it down to every last nut and bolt, shaft and everything, and rebuilt it like a new one. And that was probably close to 40 years ago now, but we're still keeping it nice. Unfortunately, we got a little Minnesota dirt on it here at this show, but it'll come off. This particular one didn't come from our area and wasn't farmed in our area. It came from down near the Santa Barbara area, and probably was used in orchard and or open ground like grains, field crops, that sort of thing. It was really in good shape. Some people saw my dad and myself in an article in a magazine. They came and visited us, and then about 6 weeks later, I called us up and they said, well, how much is a BGS worth? So I didn't know, because I didn't know what the condition was in, but we talked about it, and they said, well, you know, we're okay. They bought one, but they lived in town. So they had it delivered to us and wanted to have it completely restored. So we did. We gave it a ground-up restoration. Every nut and bolt came out of it, every bearing shaft, whatever needed to be replaced or rebuilt was rebuilt on it and put together for the people. Engine, everything was completely rebuilt, and they took it home with them. We put some custom steps on the back and a handrail on the running board because the gentleman was in his 80s at the time, so that he wouldn't fall off getting on and off the tractor. But he would religiously once a month fire it up, drive it out of the garage, leave it on the front lawn, let it run, get warm up, you know, get the battery charged, and then he'd back it back into the garage and shut it off and turn the fuel off. And it got to the point where he couldn't handle it anymore. His wife called me up and said that they were going to sell it, and we made arrangements, and I bought it back again. And so it's still in the family, or our family, I guess I should say. It became part of our family. And it's been 20 years since this tractor's been restored. And generally we kept it out of the dirt and we didn't run it, but it's starting to get a little dirty now. And but we're having fun with it. It runs really well, and it's the closest to new as we can get. Our family has farmed with cleat tracks exclusively, basically since 1906, when we got away from, well, that's when we moved to Lodi. The family came to Lodi. In 1916-17, we bought a Model R cleat track, which was the first model that the Cleveland Tractor Company built. And most of my great uncles, grandfather, and the whole family that farmed, we ran nothing but cleat tracks, and then in later years, all of our track layers. We didn't get a wheel tractor until we got a used 550 in the 80s, to do some light work in the vineyard. We have vineyard, grape vineyard, and orchard also. We've had orchard, we don't have any right now. But we've always used track layers, low ground pressure, small in size so we can get in between crops without damaging things. And we go places where wheel tractors can't go. Even some of the newer narrow model tractors that John Deere, Kubota, and some of the other and New Holland build, we can get in places where they can't go. But there's something that we're preserving now and we're not using on an everyday basis anymore, although we could, just to preserve them and keep them going. We had a great time here at the show. We're still having a great time, and we're glad that we got invited to come here. And you know, it's one of those bucket list kind of a things to do is to come to this show. There's other shows I'd like to go to yet in my lifetime, but that's another day and another time.
Hello, my name is Tom Ockery. I guess brought two tractors up here, a 1755. I bought this one maybe 30 years ago for a farm tractor. I still use it on the farm. I got the quick loader attachments on it. In 2019, 2020, it was a lot of snow that year. I was pushing snow one night and then put it away for the night. Went out next morning to plug it in for about a half an hour. Went out in the shed and it was full of smoke. And it burnt up, well, all the wiring and all the, you know, the rubber and all that plastic stuff. So got it out, thankfully. Didn't take the shed or nothing. So then I had gotten my brother Lowell and his boy Greg. They went through it in the spring. They got all the leaks taken care of and repainted it all up. And ever since I was a little kid, maybe 7, 8 years old, this show originated was my dad's uncles, William and Norman Nelson. And my dad was Carl Ockery Jr. He passed away in 1993, July. So, in fact, my brother has two of his tractors up here that are Lowell bought, took over, and they're up here.
My name's Casey Ockery. I guess we have been collecting tractors since my grandpa started farming. He collected Olivers. We kind of got to be in an addiction, I guess you can say, but we kind of just kept following along with it over the years, just keeping the tradition going. And we've been finding a lot of tractors in Canada. We got some Cockshots, Olivers, quite a few of those. And I guess I picked up this yellow one over here. This was, I got in from Oklahoma. It's a military runway sweeper. Pretty unique. I can't find a lot of info on it, but that's kind of another project for another time. I just rolled it up here. Figured I better show it off a little bit, but kind of looks like junk, but yeah, no, I mean, we try to do it as a hobby, but it gets a little carried away. We're just gonna kind of keep on passing down the tractors generation after generation. That's the plan to the kids, so yeah, it's fun. It's real fun. So.
Okay, hello there. I'm Stuart Ockery, and I'm here from Hawley, Minnesota, rural area, ROLLAG, and I'm here to talk about some of the little collection of the 1650 here. In actuality, I'm going to step back a little bit and look at this differently because my son Casey, he was the one that got me going in this about probably 20 years ago, let's say that. He started looking at the tractors online and stuff, and he was collecting across in Canada. Basically, he collected a few then, and then it became a little more each time. We brought down a couple loads before things happened on the borderline, and then later on I collected this Oliver here. There was a story behind that one because it was actually a headhunter that was out in California and found this tractor and another 1655. And I guess we decided to purchase them, and when we did, I sold the other one to my brother Lowell. He's got the 1655. They came with this one from out in California. I think they were on some, like, they come off of some vegetable farms back there, but then eventually this one here was been on a highway deal because it's got some tar marks on the wheels yet. So what I'm saying is they use it for something, some unit for pulling the heavy equipment on the, or packer probably, what I'm thinking. And like I said, it was, my oil entries are marked yellow. I suppose they had some people that were running it. It was just to show them where we needed to check the oil on the thing. So, but actually I wasn't ready to bring this one up here, but I was trying to get it more painted, but I had parts of it painted, so so we decided to stick it together to what we're seeing now. And what makes this one unique too is, see, this here is probably, well, it's probably one of 5 built tractors. So it's, and I didn't know that until we were thinking about it. It's a 1655 with, or 1650 with a 3-speed transmission. So over 100 hydraulics. So that was the introductory of the 1655 then at that point. So it was sort of a proto style, but yet it was the end of the area for the 50s, so it went to the 55 series. So that I could have bought some other tractors from this headhunter, but I guess, you know, the pocket wasn't deep enough. But anyhow, that's the stories there, and I thank you.